Well, hey everybody, Joy here. It's Monday, marvelous Monday. We have sunshine again. I would love to go outside and be in the sunshine. But my morning started out with a phone call that caused me to have to sit on the phone and wait for somebody to come to it for about an hour. Don't you just hate that? Let me take a sip. I just made this. It's afternoon. And I'm probably not supposed to have this, but I actually forgot to have enough coffee this morning because of that phone call. It caused me all kinds of problems. So I just made this and it's totally decaf. So let me not burn myself. I opened up the cupboard. And you know, I have so many cups, so many mugs. And I've started having to stack the mugs inside each other because I have too many for my little cupboard up here. So I thought, oh, I'll just get this Christmas mug out. So I lifted up one cup and I pulled out the Christmas mug and I somehow dropped it and it hit the duck on the refrigerator. I've had this duck for 100 years on my refrigerator. It's a magnet. It was this duck. So the duck went crashing on the floor and his head came off and my cup went, no, first it fell down to the counter, then the duck fell off the refrigerator and hit my cup and chipped it, and then the duck fell on the floor and knocked his head off. So, it's sort of been one of those days. It's sort of been one of those days. I still haven't had a single sip of, so hold on. It would be so good with a piece of pumpkin pie. We went to the grocery store yesterday, and I had about 8 things on my list. We got up to the checkout stand and our basket was absolutely a huge mountain. I keep thinking the world's going to come to an end, so you need to hurry up and buy everything, you know, and have 50 cans of beans and 50 cans of corn and 5,000 rolls of toilet paper and 5,000 rolls of paper towels. I'm like, just in case, just in case, just in case. You know, you're just now getting so you can go to the grocery store and what you want is actually there. So, anyway, Jerry said, we just bought all that stuff the other day. I said, yeah, but this is all different stuff. And it was. So anyway, we came home, we got all that put away. So, you want to see what I'm doing today? Well, other than the phone call. What was the phone call, Joy? The phone call. You know, we sold our business. We sold our business in 2018. Jerry retired. We sold our businesses. We had 2 locations, one in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and one in Kingston, Oklahoma, hence we had 2 houses. So we decided we wanted to sell our businesses so we could retire because we're ancient. So Jerry hired this broker. The broker's name is Francis. You know, when you're selling your business, you just don't put a for sale by owner sign in the front yard. You know, you have to have somebody who actually knows people who can afford to buy a business. You know, it's different. So we hired this broker and his name was Francis. He was a really, really, really nice guy. He's as old as we are. He's retired once too, but he's working now as this part-time broker guy. So the deal was we were going to sell both our buildings. We own 2 commercial buildings. And we were going to sell both our buildings and we were going to sell our business. So the people that bought our business, it's like, we don't really care. Well, for those of you who care, a company in Indiana called Rehab Medical bought our business, both of them. But they did not want to buy the buildings. They wanted to rent the buildings. Well, Jerry decided rent was better than buying them anyway because then we have income every month, right? And we don't get all that big lump of money at once and have to give, you know, half of it to the government. So we decided, okay, we'll rent the buildings. Well, in the very, very, very teeny tiny fine print on page 250, it said, if clients decide to rent the buildings instead of sell the buildings, they have to pay us part of the rent for 3 years. I was so mad when I saw that. I had a fit, and the broker was right here at our kitchen table downstairs. Jerry was at the table, I was at the table, and I saw that, and I said, that is so unfair. I said, that's highway robbery. That is so unfair. So you didn't sell our buildings, and we shouldn't have to pay you a thing. So the broker said, well, you know what, I kind of agree with you. He said, half of that money would come to me, and half of it would go to his boss. So he said, just reduce it to 1/2 and you can just pay that. Well, it turned out he was so nice to us and he did so much work for us that we said, okay, it's no big deal, just leave it like that, we'll pay for 3 years. So we paid for 2 years, we're on year 3. Started November 1. So, back in June, we get our rent check from Rehab Medical every month on the 1st. So, it's my job every month when we get the rent check that I have to write a check from each building's a different account. I have to write 2 checks and I have to send them to this broker company, right? So in June, I wrote the checks, I sent them to the broker company. And so all of June, this Francis guy kept calling and saying, we never got those checks, we never got those checks, we never got those checks, we never got those checks. And I'm like, well, I mailed them. So they hadn't been cashed. We didn't know what happened. Probably the same place our Honda check went. Remember our Honda money disappeared? So I wrote them 2 more checks. Okay, so I have paid them twice for June. I wrote them 2 checks, they disappeared, so I wrote them 2 more checks. Well, last month, when I got our bank statement, lo and behold, there's those first 2 checks I wrote way back in June and they've both been cashed. Now, when I get my bank statement, I get a copy of the front of the checks only. I saw the front of the checks, they were written to them, they were cashed, so I didn't mail them any money for December. I thought, hey, they got paid twice in June, I'm not paying them for December. And I told them so. So the phone call this morning was from Francis, the broker. And he said, Joy, I know you said those checks were cashed, but it wasn't us who cashed them. He said, we need you to call the bank and have them send you a copy of the back of the check to see who cashed them. So, how hard do you think that would be? Another thing that happened, about the same time we sold our business as our bank sold. We used to love our bank. We knew all the people over there, they knew us. We knew them all by their first name, they knew us by our first names. We loved our bank. Well, then it sold to this big company, like our company sold to a big company. Now you call, you press the 1, you press the 2, you press the 3, you press the 4, you press the 5, and then you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. I waited over 25 minutes. Then I got mad and I hung up. And so then I called back, and I called a different number. I used to have a location right across the street from our store, but now they don't. It's in Medill, which is about 20 miles from our store. So anyway, I called at first the Medill location. They never did answer the phone. So then I called online their 888 whatever number and held for another 20 minutes. I finally got so frustrated because I wanted to come up here and I wanted to finish what I was doing. So Jerry was sitting with ice packs on his knees and I said, will you please hold this phone for the next hour until somebody comes to it? So he sat the phone down. And so I'm sewing. I'll show you what I was sewing. I was sewing. He's sitting there with his ice packs on his knee. All of a sudden, some guy answers the phone. We're like, oh my God, that's a real person. Say hello. So, Jerry says hello. Tells him what's going on. The man says, guess what the man says? I ought to have a contest. Who can tell me what the man said? Who can tell me? Yes, you in the back. Oh, you used to work at banks? Oh, yeah. Well, what did the man say to me? That's right. He told Jerry, you need to call your local branch. I mean, you gotta laugh to keep from blowing your brains out. Life is so frustrating some days. I mean, we're talking now, we've been on the phone for over an hour and haven't talked to anybody yet except this guy that says you need to call your local branch. We dial the local, no. The man on the phone says, we say, we've been on hold forever with the local, and I'm screaming across the room from the sewing machine, tell him this, tell him that, tell him this, tell him that. Jerry said, my wife was already on the phone for over 25 minutes with the local branch. He says, well, let me call them. Hold on. So we hold on 10 more minutes, The man comes back, and guess what he said? Your local branch doesn't answer the phone. My phone's, it's probably Francis Brewer, hold on. And the bank saga continues. That was Eddie. Eddie was one of the guys we used to know. We knew him for years, knew him by first name. He'd come see us, we'd go see him. Well, I left a message on his cell phone about 3 hours ago, and so he just now called back. And I said, oh my gosh, Jerry's up there at your bank, go find him. He said, I see him. I said, okay, bye. So what I'm going to do is get my coffee away from this quilt. I'm going to measure it to find center, so I can be sure I'm centering it here. I'm also going to measure it so I can keep measuring it as I roll it, and I can measure it out, and Jeffrey can tell me if I'm not doing this right. So I can measure it out from center as I'm quilting it and make sure it's not scrolling sideways or cockeyed up these, what do you call these things, rollers? Yeah. So it's already 10 after 3, most of the day is still going on with the bank saga. Isn't it crazy? It's just crazy. So anyway, I'm going to get this on here, and I'll come back and show you after a while what I decide to quilt it with. How about that? For you, it'll be right here. That was Jerry calling from the bank. Yes, as it turned out, since nobody would ever answer the phone, Jerry drove to the bank all the way to Medill, 25 miles from here. Drove to the bank, he's there now, and he's been there for the last hour trying to figure out what happened. Turns out the checks were cashed by mothers of drunk drivers. The checks are written to FNBC of Kansas or Missouri or something. They are written to mothers of drunk drivers, but mothers of drunk drivers cashed both checks. How is that possible? So anyway, Jerry's still there. They're saying, well, we'll give you the money back, but we have to know this, we have to know that, so blah, blah, blah. So that was my whole morning, I swear. But before that happened, I finished sewing down all the applique on this quilt. So I just took this off the ironing board where I have pressed all the seams in the back and all of the applique, which was murder to sew down, let me tell you. These little bitty branches, whew, not easy. Hey everybody, Joy here. It's Tuesday morning. I know, because when I woke up today I didn't know what day it was. Which happens often these days. So I looked at my phone. So it's Tuesday, December 22, 2020. Is that amazing or what? This year is almost over with. What a year it has been. I bet none of us will ever forget the year 2020, will we? Coconut mocha with whipped cream. So, what was I just going to tell you? Hello. All right, I think the last thing I said was, we'll never forget the year 2020, will we? So, there's somebody I want to talk about today. Actually, today is going to be combined with yesterday, and so I know yesterday morning I started to tell you about my quilt, and I was putting my quilt on, and I got my quilt all on, but then I had a major issue. I couldn't get the design out of my computer. I have more crashed computers than most people ever own. I have 3 crashed laptops, and I have a crashed desktop here, and then there's other crashed ones over in Jerry's barn. But it just so happens that my software for my long arm is installed on those crashed computers. And I suppose I could somehow figure out how to take it to some guy and have him take the guts out of it and get something, I don't know. I don't want to do that because number one, the guy's going to charge you $200. So it turns out yesterday that my friend Jeffrey told me to call the Grace Company. The Grace Company is who made my software, which is called Quilt Path. Okay, so the law is that you can download your Quilt Path software 3 times. Well, I have already downloaded it 3 times. Actually, I think 4 times, because one time I gave it to Terry because she was going to get Quilt Path also. Well, then she decided Quilt Path was yuck, and so she got IntelliQuilter, which I wish I had gotten, but I didn't. And so she uninstalled it from her computer, and it was okay. Dawn Kavanaugh, she's like way up. I think she's resigned now, and I know her. And she was at APQS at the time, and she told me it was okay to let my friend put it in her computer because my friend and I both drove up there and we worked with her for a couple days. She was teaching us the classes, just the 2 of us. Oh no, I'm so special. But anyway, actually, it was because the girl who installed the Quilt Path made a huge mess of my computer. And I was on the phone like 2 hours with APQS, and my husband was in here trying to undo what that girl had done wrong. So that's why we got the free. She said, if you'll drive up here, which is in Iowa, I think it's Iowa, if you'll drive up here, I'll give you the regular $5,000 worth of classes for free. It wasn't $5,000, but however much it was. That's how we got to sit with Dawn. And I knew her before from some classes I took. But she's just the nicest person in the whole entire universe, I'll tell you. But she's not there anymore. Actually, I could text her on my phone and she would answer me in like 30 seconds, even now. She's just that wonderful of a person. So anyway, I didn't want to bother Dawn, so I bothered my friend Jeffrey. And you guys, who the heck is that Jeff guy you keep talking about? I'm going to tell you, but hold on a second. I have had a Benadryl and 2 day quilts. I only usually take 1 day quill. Took the first one, it didn't work. Took a Benadryl, it didn't work. Just took a 2nd day quill. And it's still, I tell you what, my father said when I was growing up, because my mom had allergies and she was always with the Kleenex like me. He said, we need to buy stock in Kleenex. Well, I need to buy stock in Puff, probably made by the same company, who knows. So anyway, if I can get my nose to quit dripping, I'll tell you about Jeffery. And Jeffrey, I know you're watching. Yes, back a year ago, and I think some of you who are my regulars probably remember me telling you about a surprise that was going to happen this past fall. And I wasn't going to tell you until he came. And what he was going to do, he was going to come here and we were going to make tutorials of the Quilt Path software, because there aren't any. There are 0, none, nowhere. There is this one lady that tries to make tutorials and you have to pay for them, but she's just the world's worst teacher. She really is. She cannot teach. Her dog is barking half the time. She forgets where she is. The video isn't good. It's so complicated. Her videos are on Vimeo or whatever, and it is so complicated. You have to have this secret long code to get there. And of course, you never remember what your code is, and you don't remember where you have it, and it's just totally frustrating. He told me that all the women have a problem. So he is an APQS dealer, and he lives in California. And one day, maybe a year and a half ago, I got a comment from this man. And all my comments are always from women, always from women. I may get a man once in a blue moon. So I got a comment from a man. So of course, right away, I figured it was spam, right? And he said, can I have your email or something? And so I went and I asked Jerry, and he said, well, Joy, it's probably okay. He didn't say anything nasty or dirty. It's probably okay. So I guess I sent him my email, and I could be completely wrong. He's younger than I am. He has a better brain, so he can fix it if I screw up this story. he emailed me, or maybe he texted me on my phone, I don't remember now. But he said that he wanted to get together with me because he was a teacher of the software, and he had classes in California, and all these women came, and he flew all over the United States giving these classes. And he said the women were just so confused and it was so hard to understand. He said that he wanted to make videos, and that way the people could just, I don't know, buy the video, watch the video. But he didn't know how to do videos. He knows how to do everything else in the world, but he doesn't know how to make videos. So I told Jerry, I said, oh my gosh, this man wants to come here and he wants me to make videos. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So the first thing I did was I called my friend Dawn at APQS, and I said, hey, have you ever heard of this Jeff guy in California? She said, oh yes, he's one of our dealers. So then I knew he was really who he said he was. So we started texting back and forth, and we have become very good friends. I just talked to him yesterday. He is just the most precious person. And he lets me call him anytime I want to, day or night. And he's just the most interesting guy. He loves to learn new things. He knows how to do a million different things. He says he thinks we're twins from different mothers, or we were separated at birth, because we're so much alike in that we like to do so many different things and we like to learn new things. So, because of COVID, he hasn't been able to come here. He can't even get on an airplane because he needs to get some kind of special license, and he can't because all the tag agencies are closed. It's just crazy. So he isn't able to come. I don't know if he'll ever be able to come. But that's who my friend Jeffery is. And did I tell you, Jerry told me, yes, 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 have him come. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be great for you to do videos, and it'll be really helpful to all these ladies. So Jerry knows all about it. It's no secret. So the guy has kids and he has grandkids, and oh, he's a character deluxe, just a major character. So anyway, I don't know if we'll ever get to really meet in real life in person, but that's who, I call him Jeffy. His name is Jeffery. And sometimes I call him Jeffy, and sometimes I call him Jeff, and sometimes I call him Jeffery. And if I ever get to be with him in person, I'll probably give him a new name. I don't know, I'll give everybody a new name. You know, I call Jerry Burnsides. So that's who Jeff is. And let me see, where can you see him? Is it Facebook? And of course, a lot of you don't have a long arm, and a lot of you don't have a Millennium, and you don't have APQS, so I mean, this all means nothing to you. But if it does, you can go to the APQS Facebook page. I think it's a Facebook page, and I think you can see him there. I think that's where I saw him. He's an amazing quilter. He told me the other day he quilts 600 quilts a year. And of course, I'm lucky to quilt 2 quilts a year, so we're on completely different levels there. But he quilts for other people, and he gives classes, and he travels all over the place. And so, really sad that COVID happened and he wasn't able to come here. Okay, so here's the next problem. Yesterday, I got my quilt all loaded, and I decided I wanted to quilt an edge-to-edge pattern. An edge-to-edge is just something, oh, I don't have my, it starts at the top and it quilts all the way across here. Then you come back to the second row and it goes from this edge to this edge. Edge to edge. Move it down, edge to edge. Move it down, edge to edge, okay? And I have this edge-to-edge pattern I bought years ago from My Creative Stitches, and it's beautiful. It's called Damask. Well, I don't have the Quilt Path software installed on my working computer. It's on all the crashed computers, so I can't open the design to use it. So I am just in limbo here. I called the Grace Company. The Grace Company gave me a recording. We're too busy to talk to you. Leave your name and number. We might get back to you before you're dead. So, I don't know when that's going to happen. I may have to go ahead and choose a different pattern, but this is my Edyta Sitar winter quilt. So it's real important to me. I want it to turn out super nice, right? Because I spent so long. I just got all the applique sewn down yesterday. So I don't know. They said, due to COVID, we're not allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do that. We're not dare allowed to call you back until forever. So I don't know when I'll hear back from them. But the thing is, I want them to allow me. Actually, Jeffrey told me that they'll do it. They'll ask to get into my computer and they'll install it themselves. So I don't know how they can know how many times you've downloaded their software. I'm not very techy, so I don't know about all that. But anyway, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go ahead and fold up the rest of my new fabric. I have more coming. I have more coming because of the sales. It's not my fault. You remember that 60% off that lasted until the 19th? I think I went in there the last minute on the 19th and ordered some more. Oh my goodness. I actually, this morning, Fabric.com, which is actually owned by Amazon, did y'all know that? Fabric.com said, we have a sale up to 50%. Did you ever notice that giant 50%? They got the 50% this big, and then underneath it in letters this big it says up to. So up to 50% could mean 1%. It could mean 2%. It could mean no percent. So I sat on my Joy couch this morning with my cuppa. And I searched and I searched and I searched, and the most I found on any of their fabrics was 30% off, and some of them were full price. So I have my basket full. I think there's 4, maybe 6, maybe 4. Their fabric's kind of expensive, in my opinion, for what I spend on fabric. You know, I always feel like if I spend a lot on fabric, I'm terrified to cut into it. So, but what I wanted was some cotton knits with spandex in them that I could make more, what do you call things you sleep in? Not pajamas. I don't like pajamas. Sleep shirts. Not a robe. But I like the ones that are like a long t-shirt. That's what I like. And I remember several months back I made some and I showed them to you. Remember the kitty cat I embroidered in the tree and it says, wake me when it's over? I love that. It's the most comfortable thing to sleep in. I just love it. And I would like to have about 10 of them hanging in my closet so my husband doesn't have to look at that cat every night for the rest of his life. I actually had some zebras. Remember the zebras that had all the different colored sunglasses on? I just loved that one. I wore it until it was a rag. I am not kidding you. It had been washed so many times that the zebras were shredding. I had to throw it away. I mean, I couldn't even give it away. It was worn out. It's really, I think it was kind of really cheap Joann fabric because I have never had a fabric do that before. I've worn that kitty cat just as much and it looks like brand new. So anyway, I'm going to let you go for now, and I'm sure I'll be back maybe tomorrow. It's getting awful close to Christmas, you guys. Tomorrow's the 23rd, and yes, I'm going to do the giveaway. Quilts are right over here. I'm going to do the giveaway, and I haven't decided what day, but now you all need to pay attention to me. You need to be really careful and listen to me, because the day that I do it, I am going to have the video already up. It's going to be there, and all I have to do is go into YouTube and say, make this public, okay? I can even say, make this public at such and such time on such and such day, so it'll already be there. But before that video, I will make a video telling you what the secret word is. We're going to have a secret word, and it's not going to be giveaway. Because I don't want any strangers. I want you, my beloved subscribers, to be the ones who win this quilt. I don't want any strangers, so I don't want anybody to know it's a giveaway. So it's not going to say giveaway. And then there's going to be a secret word, just one word. And you're going to have to know what that word is. And you're going to have to put that word in your comment. Then I'm going to get that YouTube comment picker, and then you tell it. Look for all the comments that have this word in them, and it will pull those all up. Say there's 400 comments, but only 150 have that word in them. It'll bring out those 150, then it will put them in a hat and mix them all up, and then it will pull out one person. So I'm going to do one drawing for the Christmas quilt. I'm going to do another drawing for the, hey, I remembered, the pickles quilt. Okay, so there'll be two different drawings because I don't want you to win the pickles quilt if that's not the one you want. And I don't want you to win the Christmas quilt if that's not the one you want. And next year, I'm going to give away some more quilts. But let me see, what should my next thing be? 25,000. You think it's possible for me to get to 25,000 next year? I don't know. People don't like my politics and they don't like my religion. So they go, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. I'm never watching you again. How dare you talk about Jesus? How dare you not? That's my response. My goodness. He's God Almighty. He owns all the cattle on 1,000 hills and all the gold and all the silver and everything everywhere in the entire universe. And I am a child of the Most High God, and I'll never quit talking about Him. Okay, my dear friends, I'll let you go. I'll be back soon.